Welcome back to Football Coach, episode 65. The 2040 season has just wrapped up. Here is the playoffs and how it went. Beginning with first round, two close matchups and two absolute blowouts. And then into the quarterfinals, there's one major blowout, one very much not close game, and two much closer games. Finally, in the semifinals, Notre Dame beating Tennessee 34-17. That's a 1 versus 2 matchup. And then you have the 3 versus 4 matchup. That's their ranking, not their seed. But Ohio State with the slender victory, single point, heading to the national championship where they beat Notre Dame 27-17 to win the title this year. Not only did we finish the season with an above 500 record for the first time in our history, but we went on to win our bowl game as well in a bit of a surprise, a very close one. 8-5. What a season. Ranked 43rd at the end of the year. Our offense and defense were both right there as well in that top 45, but not cracking the top 40 range. Our points per game and opposition points per game were actually a little bit higher, but the yardage was a bit of a problem. Defensively, not so much. We were 25th, but offensively just 64th in the yardage. In fact, we were 2 yards a game worse than our opponents, yet somehow we went 8-5. We greatly exceeded our 2 wins for the year. So the coach opinion just went up drastically to a 70. Also, our fans were very thrilled by this season. We were already in the A+ territory, but it's approaching max once again after that. They are very happy. We did lose 6 points because we didn't win 10 games. That was never going to happen. 8 wins was already a pipe dream, but we still end up with a +5 because we were able to actually keep all of the others, and I really didn't expect to keep all of them, especially when at least 7 games didn't feel like it was going to happen. So really good job picking up those extra points, and we get a +3 to coach integrity, now a 62. Well, this is great for our coaching staff as they have really blossomed this season. +2 levels for the 37-year-old head coach, and he's close to a third. So for him, we'll put 1 point into training and 1 into recruiting. And actually, you know what? 7's pretty good already. Your head coach is the one who's going to have a bigger influence on. No. Keep it balanced. 1 each. Training right now is mattering more. Getting good quality players is the difference in winning games. And the recruitment side is pretty iffy for us as we're at the bottom end. The training makes a bigger deal. 4,200 XP earned. Wow, 500 XP just for beating Hawaii. Well, we've got to start doing that more often. Our new offensive coordinator is just 34 years of age. He too got 2 levels and is well on his way to another. Here is where we need to make a difference. He's already got a really good offensive rating, but his recruiting and training are awful. We are going to put both points into training right now, and we get to choose a skill badge. At our level, we seem to be fairly competitive against the other teams, but one of the things that always catches us out in the games that we end up losing is turnovers. Ball security +10 is massive, and I'm going to actually take that skill so we can be a little more sure-handed. So for the young coach, he gains almost 3,000 XP. We're also going to get a level in our defensive coordinator, though only 1, but still a very healthy margin. He's in his mid-40s. We're going to put that point into defense, though, as play calling is very important. That was a little over 2,000 XP for him as well. Our full coaching staff is set to return for next season. We have locks on a couple of guys. Bobby Rivera does not, but he was still early enough in his contract and his career that I wasn't as worried. I figured we can afford to pay him more if necessary. Nobody came in to try to take him, so all safe. Stanford, who had a bit of a down year after some recent successes, their head coach has just retired, so that could very much make life a little more difficult on them. Graduating class includes 10 players with an 80 or above for their ratings. So there's definitely some quality that we're going to lose. It's going to be a bit to replace. Overall, the senior class had 18 guys graduating, but luckily we have 0, besides our couple seniors, slated for the draft. So we should be able to hang on to any quality that we have there. I was prepared to let Ian Tate, our redshirt junior running back, I was prepared to let him go because he wanted playing time, and he only got like one game and a few carries this year when somebody was injured, as he was the fourth guy on the depth chart. But he is slated to be either number 2 or 3, and our number 3 guy for this past year did easily get 50 carries. So it's not a very high demand, and I think we can make that happen. So we're going to go ahead and keep him around for his senior year. My problem position, though, is tight end. We have depth behind a guy who was pretty good but graduating, 2 74s and a 73, and all of them have A of some sort potential. The redshirt freshman is happy and content and was number 2 on the depth chart this last year, so he's moving up to number 1. But the other 2 guys are both heading into that senior year and want to contribute somehow or another. They're both asking for playing time. We're going to have to let at least one of them go, possibly both. We want 20 targets, which, I mean, our number 2 guy this last year only had 13, or 20 targets. I think our A-plus potential guy has a chance of a better breakthrough heading into the next season, even though he's a point behind. But I'm not sure we get 20 targets. It is only 6 coach integrity, though, and it will be their senior year. So we'll go ahead and hang on to our A-plus guy, but we are going to let the other go. I can't promise both of them 20 targets. If we get ahead in a game, you can kind of manipulate it to get like double tight ends and only have a couple of receivers and have a play where you know the tight end dump off is the more likely go-to play, and maybe squeeze in a few catches for them to help out, but it's going to be hard to achieve that one. And at the end of the day, we have 4 players leaving the program in addition to those seniors that just graduated. We have our tight end, who I'm not willing to give the play time promise to. He was a decent player. That one does hurt to lose a little bit, but I also anticipated it all along, and yet I've not been able to recruit any tight ends. But we have a nice big open gap right now on that tight end position with our top graduating guy. So I'm quite hopeful that we're going to be able to find a transfer candidate at the tight end position who could come in to be an instant starter, or at least, one of those really good freshman types. But we have a redshirt junior corner who's only a 71 overall. And then we have a D lineman, redshirt sophomore, and an offensive lineman, redshirt sophomore, who both have underdeveloped a bit. Now, actually, really, all 3 of them have underdeveloped. They were well down the depth chart at their positions. So at the end of the day, that's going to put us at 74 scholarships now. So we have 11 incoming commits already, but we have 11 more spots available to us. And that'll get us a decent selection in that transfer market. The top overall pick was only an 84 overall player of the year. Okay, so it's the Heisman Trophy winner, but he's only an 84 overall. That is shocking. The quarterback behind him looks quite a bit better. But Hector Ellis went second in the second round. He was so close to being a first-round pick. I'm not sure we've had a first-round pick yet. I think we've had maybe 3 second-rounders now. I wonder if I can go look that up somewhere in the history tab. I'll see if I can find it. But it's a 4th-round pick for Whitaker. So both of them going. And you've got your All-American and 2-time All-Conference Hector Ellis on that one. Good pick up there. But in the school record book, Pearson had our best completion percentage this year, with Hector Ellis getting the most return touchdowns and receiving touchdowns in a single over career. That's career records. For single season, Pearson, 72% this year. That's what saw that rise up so much. 2-year starter, right? Last year was his first. 200 rush attempts for Harry Grant. That's as a freshman. He'll probably get more next year. Return touchdowns, Hector Ellis had 3 of them this year. This was the only year that he was our return specialist, as we had a wide receiver the year before that was ranked just above him in terms of ability. But Bean had 28 field goals made, on 36 attempts. That's actually quite a few misses there. And Alec Rogers, safety. This is not a giveaway. This is a takeaway. 5 interceptions. So great job there with the defensive record. Individual game records. 38 completions in the win over South Florida and an 84% completion. Grant had 22 rush attempts against, I think that's Wake Forest. Ellis with the return touchdown. Of course, that's happened a few times now. We've never had more than one in a game. But 5 for 6 in field goals against Tulane, along with a linebacker, Hector Little, having 2 interceptions in that win against Tulane. That was a game that was much closer than it should have been. No team records on the offensive side of the ball, but on the defensive side, we had 22 points per game, which is a record. 355 yards per game, also a record, and 133 yards on the ground per game was a record for us. At the same time, individual game records, we held Wake Forest to 22 yards for an entire game and forced 5 turnovers against Tulane, both of those school records. Sadly, I can't just throw all of our draft picks in at the same time, but we can look year by year. So no draftees in 2025, 26, 27, 28, 29, 2030 was the first time we ever had a draft pick, and that was round 5 with Xander Marsh. 2 years later, we were back in the 5th round with Shane Davis. And in 2023, Josue Pryor was our first ever second-round pick, just squeezing his way in there. And it was also our first time getting 2 guys into the draft at the same during the same year. And there's our first All-American too, Cooper Knowles. A year later, we were into the 3rd and 4th round. Year after that, there's our second round pick and our highest up to that point, and a 6th round pick as well. 2036, we went crazy. We had 5 guys picked in the draft that year. Holy cow. But 3 of them were 7th round picks. Still, that's cool. That is really cool that we were able to do that. But Cale Elliott became our 3rd second-round pick and highest up to that point at the 15th pick in the draft of the second round. Well, there you go. 2037, we have a first-rounder, Gabriel Norman, the redshirt senior running back, who somehow only got to an 89, but he was All-American, All-Conference, 3,000 career yards, 29 touchdowns, just 4 fumbles over that career. So that was 2037 and the 27th pick in the draft. Only a single round 4 guy a year later. Cheney was round 2, 18th pick, so our 3rd highest up to that point a year ago, along with Green in the 5th round. And then this year, our 2nd highest pick ever. And our 5th second rounder? We've had a single first rounder, late first round. So just 2 guys in the draft this year. But it's an impressive season if we only have 2 guys going in the draft, and yet we were able to come up with 8 victories this season. Let me tell you, it's been a long day to get through the off-season till we're ready to head into signing day. A lot of time has transpired IRL, but we're here. We're ready to progress. And I'm pretty confident that we're going to get a lot of signatures out of the group here. We have 11 scholarships, and I actually only have 19 names at this stage. There's a lot of just inferior choices that weren't good enough, and then there's just a lot of we have no freaking chance situations. So we have 2 long shots in the dark that after 2 off-season sessions into the final one, they still don't have an offer. No pitch would do anything for us, and I'm only pitching because there's literally empty space with only 19 that, there's only so many pitches to do, and some of them are blank and empty and without competition, so I might as well pitch something. But 2,300 points is nice, but we're a lot more behind than that. We're 3,500 is the gap. So we are not going to exceed these guys. It's literally coming down to whether they get that scholarship offer or not. They probably will. There was only a couple of those. But then after that, it goes into competition. Now, there was one that I really wanted, and just wasn't going to work out. UCLA was too much on it. We've beaten Stanford. We've beaten USC. This is a 5-star freshman who's already a 76 overall with a potential as a D lineman. Would be fantastic. My favorite target. But even with a near $1 million NIL offer, I'm only going to be able to pick up 767 points, meaning we're still going to be a few hundred behind UCLA. Plus, you would imagine they'll score 300 or 400 themselves this week, so we're probably going to be about 700 behind. Not going to happen. And we do have kind of new territory for me. A couple redshirt juniors who are ready to come in and be a starter right away and make our team better for next year. Help us win some games. We're spending about $1 million each in NIL on these 4 guys and have a very good chance to sign 3 to 4 of them. And then we get into our high school guys and those leftovers that others were not going to sign where we have really good chances. But we should be able to just about fill out all 11 spots. It's highly unlikely that we'll be missing any of them, but there's 1 or 2 that it's possible that we could end up missing out and only getting about 9 in the class. But let's see what we have. 100%! Nobody offered. We got the tight end. We've got a senior tight end who's a 79 overall, or heading into senior year anyway, with C durability, B-. That's fantastic. I did not expect that one to happen. All right, here's where the odds are not good. It's UCLA 1 and UCLA. Yeah, we closed the gap, but we didn't get there. But that saves us $1.5 million, so I'm kind of happy on that part. But this was the other one that was a bit of a stretch. It looked possible. They say we have 20% odds, and we actually end up 1,200 points behind. Yowzer. That saves another $1 million though. Here's where the odds get good on these 3, and we've already lucked out with the tight end that we picked up. All right, we're going to get the first one by 132 points. This is a redshirt sophomore running back who's already a 75 overall with B potential and B- durability. A definite upgrade from the guy that we lost in the class who was of the same class. These next 2 are ones that I was pretty confident about, but they've got us down at 40%. And USC coming in on this, it could be a big loss. And it is a big loss. They've come in with a very, very big offer and a huge week. They gained almost 1,000 points on us. And I went in pretty heavy on the NIL, well more than what he was worth. So unfortunately, we are going to miss out on that one. But at least in this case, it's somebody who would have been a one and done, right? He was heading into senior year and actually really wasn't great anyway. And we have some pretty good linebackers. It just would have given us more depth at the top end of the depth chart and, helped us maintain what was a really solid win record this year. But for this one, again, they're saying we're down and 100 points. Oh, and we more than doubled their NIL, but they came in pretty hefty this week too. But that's okay on that one. I'm very much okay with not getting that one, as we did get the big tight end that I was looking for. So that's okay. So out of that, we got a couple. I was hoping for 3, but I got 2, and I got one of the better ones. So I suppose that's a pretty good grab. But we are going to get these running back, linebacker, young high schooler, young freshman with good potential and durability. We have a D lineman. Here's one that we had some competition on, and Hawaii was not offering. They only just offered here at the end. We were not number 2 on their list, but we were number 2. Overall, we were just number 1 on those who offered scholarships, and Hawaii at the last moment decided they did want to offer a scholarship. So we miss out on that particular D lineman, but we're going to get the one behind him on the list, who was a B-. We get a decent center cornerback. There's our second tight end, who's a 60 B- C+. Definitely not as good, but as a 60 where the other was a 63. I mean, we're only 3 points behind him and a year younger. Here's a cheap quarterback, an A+, A-, 68 overall freshman out of LSU, 3-star. That's a great pickup. Quarterbacks have been so easy to go in and get those young ones to come in and bring into the system with a lot of potential. And then usually after 1 or 2 years, if they're not the starter, they're going to turn around and leave on us again. But it's certainly given us a good pipeline for quarterbacks. And there's another corner. And into the final grouping, a lot of these guys we're not going to end up getting because we don't have the scholarships left. And it looks like we're at minus 5% on all of these. So I think we are done. I'm not sure that is 11, though. Well, we're back down to 77 with 21 signings. And I think we had 11 commitments before. So it looks like we actually ended up getting 10 out of this one. One of our positions came up just a fraction short of where we wanted to be, but we've got 9 3-star, 8 2-star recruits, and 4 transfers in. And yes, there's that confirmation. We have 84 of 85 scholarships filled. At least that saves us one for next season, I suppose. Woohoo! We've done it! 3 stars. Man, if we didn't have that big hit last season, we'd already be well on our way towards 4 stars and prestige, which can really start to have an impact on things. Can really start to have an impact. So the expected final ranking as a 2-star program was 62nd, but we ended up 43rd and gained 2,300 XP this season. That's going to give us a big boost and should give us a new booster. But we've got some finances to figure out what do we have on all of that. Well, first thing was we did collect $10.5 million from Oregon this year, starting up a new out-of-conference 3-game slate. But we also achieved both of our booster bonuses, and it was $3 million for each of them. So we actually ended up picking up an extra $6 million in bonuses, plus our Tier 3 bowl game winner. So a little extra on top of that one, and then that small little conference TV deal. But $32 million is definitely the best earnings we've had in some time. This is going to be the first time in a while where we can actually maintain everything, and then we'll see how much we can add in somewhere. Maintenance covered, and we have a whopping $15 million left over. Now, of course, the stadium and the marketing were 2 things that we had brought up a level to level 4, but then they come with that maintenance cost, and it was not giving us much benefit, either one of them. So we let that lapse down to level 3. So we've lost 2 levels total while making gains elsewhere. So there's the possibility to invest into the facilities, but will $15 million get us another level? The facilities is definitely the strongest thing for us, right? And max available will not get us to level 9. Actually, not even close to level 9. Not even remotely close. Okay. But how about we go back to cover maintenance and then add in, like, say, 10 mil. We put 10 mil in, we're on our way towards level 10. And then I'm going to hop back over to the coaching staff where we used to have a cushion. We do not anymore. And actually, I think 3 million is enough of a cushion on that. So let's put the rest back into the facilities. And there you go. We're maybe 40%, 35 to 40% of the way through level 9, heading towards level 10. Eventually, that could add up to be a pretty hefty bonus coming in for the facilities there and what it does for the development of players within our program. Facilities, hands down, is the number one most important. So we remain at level 24. Like I said, we have sacrificed 2 levels to be where we're at, but this is really good progress for us. We've got a little bit of a cushion. Again, if we go through a low point in finances, because I doubt we're going to add another out of conference next year. We do have some outstanding ones, and it would be nice to make some progress on those as we progress. It would also be nice to not have 2 difficult out-of-conference games, though it seems like we can win enough games for the moment without. So actually, it might not be a bad idea to get 2 of them out of the way in the coming year. Oh my goodness, we have a diamond donor. This is all because we just hit that 3rd star. So as your school prestige increases, boosters are attracted. And Frank De Hoyos has taken note and decided to begin donating. We have a diamond donor. That is going to be massive. I mean, it's not just more money hitting that 3rd star, right? Adding another donor. One more donor on top of 2 bronze donors would be 50%. I would imagine he's probably going to be more than both of them combined. Even if he's not, it should be about double what we were earning. That's going to be very helpful. Right now it's 2040. It's 2045 when we face the next realignment. So we're almost halfway there, and we find ourselves increasing prestige here fairly quickly. Now, if we were to just take a glance at where we are, where we would maybe want to be, well, the Pac-12 seems like one of those places that would shift, right? They've got so many schools right now. But the Prairie Conference seems to be one of those natural changeover points. And 3 stars does not get you competitive there, right? That puts you in the bottom 3. So if anything, you'd want to look back at that Pacific Coast Conference, and you'd have to be one of the top 2 in our conference by the end of this run. And at the rate we're going, that certainly could happen, right? We are now joining the Elite 8 of this conference, leaving 4 programs behind. And, we're down to just the 1-star program here when there was 3 of them. And meanwhile, others are taking the tumble from being perennial losers at the moment. But we've definitely got to climb farther. We've got to pick up a couple stars if we are going to get out of this conference in the next realignment. This would be an absolutely brutal schedule, and it's what they want to schedule for us. Completing 1 deal with Ohio State and getting 2/3 of the way through USC and Oregon. I'm okay with 2 of those. I do not want to do all 3 of those. Those are the only outstanding contracts we have, though. So switching one up, getting off of Oregon for the time being, and seeing what's out there. Well, here's the weird thing. None of the scheduling options are very appealing right now. All those low prestige programs that we're used to helping farm 1 win from, well, now we have to spend $1 or $2 million to get them on the calendar, as we're a 3-star prestige program now. Or we suck it up and make progress on these 3. Maybe we suck it up and take on a new one and get paid. Like, make $9 million. I like that idea. 3 tough games, but we've got our conference games to have a good time and a good season. Not the direction I was expecting to go, but it's the direction we're headed. We've got plenty of time to fulfill these contracts, and we'll take on one new one, finishing one up, getting another one to a 2nd year, and then adding a new one. Yeah, it's fine. Totally fine. We have 7 home games, 5 away games in the coming season anyway. But as for that conference schedule for next year, it's actually looking pretty tough. 5-8 is the worst record you have of anybody in the first half of the season, and then it's just Tulane and Hawaii that are on that easier side. We actually might have a hard time getting to more than about 4 or 5 wins next season if we were to go with this schedule. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to go with this schedule. I think we might be paying for this one with a difficult year, though. Before we get into development for the year, you can see just how big of a signing Wooten is for us. Didn't cost us anything. This was just simply picking up somebody who didn't have an offer from anybody else, having plenty of space, right? We only had 17 other offers. We had 2 of these guys, and nobody did come in and offer, so we got him. He's a 79 overall. The next best is a 74. And much younger. So we're looking at a guy who's going to be 80 plus again at tight end, just like we had last year. That's going to really help us out. That was going to be one of our weaker positions for the year. So I'm very fortunate to have gotten that one. I just realized I've been working on this episode for close to 8 hours now. We're going to be wrapping this up here in a minute because I've still got to edit this one and another one to release for tomorrow. It's going to be a whole process. So I'm going to be up pretty late working on things as it is. But we're looking at some fantastic development for Roy Crockett heading into senior year. The offensive lineman, A+ potential, yes, but a huge +8 jump, a +14 to strength, run blocking of a +7, pass blocking of a +4. He is balanced. Just how balanced are you, Mr. Crockett? You are a 98 strength, 95 run blocking, 75 pass blocking. That's very much an interior lineman right there, but a very good one at that. And he's joined by Alan Valdez, the other 80+ returner from last year, who's much more balanced, but will be a tackle for us. Has very similar strength and very balanced, but excellent blocking capability, especially for our level. Our kicker taking a very solid jump into junior year. I'm glad we gave him the 10 games he asked for. Harry Grant taking a solid step forward, now in 86, and just a redshirt sophomore. Cameron Hope in 86. There is a lot of quality. I mean, we're looking at 10 guys that are 83+. We're looking at 16 guys 81+. We have 19 players this year before preseason training that are all an 80+. This might be the deepest we have ever been heading into a season. 58 guys are 70+. I think our normal mark is 50 to 55. A little ahead of the curve, though. I'm seeing some disappointing numbers here. I've seen some A0, some +1s. We have 76 that are 65+. And here is a true freshman just coming out of high school who was a 55 overall. A- potential, jumps to A potential at a 65, though his durability absolutely tanked. And only a single athlete who's going to come in below 60. It's a true freshman who was a 58 and only gained 1 point. There's quite a few +1s this year, though. Going, of course, by the gain. That +10 is our biggest, best, strongest. But then there's 4 +8s and a lot of +7s. The facilities upgrade really showing itself well right now. +5 and above, 29 players. 44 at +4 and above. 67 getting a +3 or better. Pretty small group with minimal gains. Ian Tate, though, disappointed now. I don't think he's going to get his 50 carries with only a +2. Definitely a disappointing group, though, that lacked progress. We've got one guy dropping to a C+. There's a second that's dropped to a C+. There's a third that's dropped to a C+. Definitely a handful of players with disappointing gains this offseason, but for the most part, incredible gains. And we are looking very deep. I think we're headed for a very good year. But how are we positionally? That's going to matter as much as anything else. If we have a position that's just down, it's going to hurt. So that offseason will be next, but that'll be next time. That's going to do it for this one. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.